All right, so happy Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. We will organize our thoughts and use riddle skills to research and do quality work. And I will do the work now. I will research my month and day of birth and think about what represents your generation, Generation Z. And that's part of why I had us do the discussion question yesterday and watch that video. Get us thinking about what's going on in the world these days, what has happened that's kind of given us the kind of culture that we have, and have that in the back of our minds. For our close, well, there's two questions to answer for the discussion question. It's another graded discussion, and if it looks like I'm giving you a lot of grades close together, it's because I am. I'm a little behind on grading, and this Friday ends the grading, the 3-week grading period. So be sure and get anything missing, especially test grades. If you haven't done a test grade, be sure and take care of it so you can maybe get passing or close to passing for the 3-week grade check. So once again, in the back of your minds, be thinking about that. What month, what year were you born? 2003, 2004, what month? And then it's interesting. I've had kids in other classes look up stuff. One kid said he was born the day 50 Cent's first album came out, and he was like really excited about that. Somebody else said like the day the U.S. Attacked in the Middle East was interesting. So different stuff like that people have mentioned. And at first this morning, I had just said, what happened on your birthday? Well, and I'll show you mine in a minute. On my birthday, not much happened. But that month in that year, there were some things that happened. So you want to be able to find something and put it into discussion and talk about it. So that's the first thing for today's work. And the second thing, what song or image represents your generation? And I'll show you a couple of my favorite songs and just show you how that is from my time. Okay, and before we get into anything else, let's do our positive affirmations so we can be positive on purpose. Say them with me. Those of you in the classroom, come on, let me see your thumb up. What are you? Strong, confident, and successful. Yes, we are. And how do you feel about getting work done? I love getting work done. And how do we feel about schoolwork? The harder I work, the stronger I become. It makes a difference, don't it? Okay, so let's go into, well, let me talk, let's see, what was the one from yesterday? Discussion on Generation Z. And I gave a lot of comments because I'm reading these really carefully. And several people made really great posts. You can see my comments on your posts. Several people talked about how, they think they're too hard on us. And there were several times that I put on there, a lot of the problems that people talk about, you see in all people, even my generation. People want to sit home and watch other people do great things. So yes, there are people out there protesting, doing stuff, but most of us, we'd rather sit home and complain than actually go out and do anything ourselves. And then lots of people talked about the whole social media, trying to appear perfect and appear that, we've got everything figured out, we are great, and we take all these great selfies and stuff of us doing things, acting perfect, but a lot of us kind of feel empty inside because we're not actually doing anything. Somebody in here also mentioned that this habit of sitting inside doing nothing just makes us feel worse. Several people commented that this generation is soft. And yes, there are a few people, but a lot of us, we're stuck on our phones. And I forget who said it. Somebody had said how we're too much into our emotions. And that kind of started in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And of course, our emotions are important, but they're not the truth. And on several things I commented on, that's why I love preaching integrity and suffering and doing what's right, because our emotions are not the truth. And we start to think they are. And in this country, oh my God, my feelings, I feel bad. Hey, get out there and do something good. You'll feel better. And several people mentioned, I have been putting my phone aside lately. I've been putting it aside and doing more. I had a couple people in another class tell me they did go on like a fast, a social media fast, and it was the best thing they ever did. So really thoughtful, interesting responses, and thank you all for making them. But let's talk about today's work. And if you go into Wednesday's work, for those of you in the classroom, we don't have a paper assignment because this is internet based. You have to do your own research. So I don't have paper for y'all, but it's going to be pretty easy to do. So what was going on in the world that you were born into? Copy and paste an interesting, surprising, exciting, shocking fact about the time period of your birth. Search your date of birth and your month of birth. So you're going to find out an interesting fact, something that happened, and talk about why that was important. And then pick an image or a song that you think represents your generation. And it should be a song that's very meaningful. You know, I love lots of 80s music. There's thousands of songs that I like, but there's only a few that I could say, man, this really stands for my generation. This really means something. And I want you to do the same thing. Several people have asked me, Mr. Carvajal, can I pick a song from 2009? Can I pick a song from 2010? Or does it have to be something current? No. As long as it's in your generational time, you know, probably after 2000, after you were born, around that time period, what's a song that talks about what it's like to be Gen Z? And what does that mean to you? I know a lot of rap songs have the F word, like every line. So yeah, you just can't share that at school. If you can find a video with the radio edit, the clean version, please attach a link for that. If you know there isn't one, you can just tell us about the song and what it's about without having to attach anything. That's fine. And then, of course, explain how the song represents Generation Z and why it's important to you. And of course, it is your opinion, right? Josue's opinion may be very different from Charlie's, and they're both great because when we're using our riddle skills, we're going to come up with something that works for whoever's making that post. And it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. For grading, kind of standard, although I'm continuing to have the lower lines for value. So just, of course, the grading is based on your writing, not on what you copied and pasted. So keep that in mind. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Y'all get to find out how old I really am. Yeah, I'm 29. Yeah, sure I am. So I was born in 1968. So I just searched what happened, and it's already in there because I've done this for every class, right? What happened in the world April 17th, 1968? Well, and apparently not a whole lot. And the same might be true for you. If nothing exciting happened on your date of birth, well then of course expand out to the month and see what you can find. So like for me, 1968 in April, well shoot, Dr. King was shot on April 4th. That's just a couple of weeks before my birthday. There were all kinds of riots going on after that. And then Bobby Kennedy, God, he was a big up and coming politician who was going to make all these positive reforms, and he was killed in June. So those are three things that stand out right away. And of course, if you can't find something right away, hey, go to more than one website. Don't just stop there and look there. Click around, see what you can find to find something good. There's lots of things that you can find. So I really look forward to seeing what y'all come up with. Remember, there's no right answers to any of this. But if you find something and it relates to your generation, I think it's really great to be thinking about that, because we're going to continue to focus on this, gosh, for the next couple of weeks, thinking about what it means to be in your shoes in this world. And several people mentioned in their writing that they see their younger siblings being even more checked out, more disconnected, and worried that things are only going to get worse. So it's interesting to think about these things. So let me talk about my generation for a minute. And there are two songs that I really, there's a lot of songs that I love. Like I said, I had a list of like 8 or 10. And two that really stand out to me was Message in a Bottle by The Police. And this came out in the early 80s. So I was like 12, 14 when this came out. And basically he's talking about being lonely. Like nobody understands me. Nobody knows what it's like to be me. So I put this message in a bottle and send it out to the world. Like he's trapped on a deserted island and he throws this bottle with a message in it out to sea and waits to see if any replies come. And what happens is basically for a year, nothing. But then after a year, there's like millions of bottles washing up on his shore. And he says, "It seems I'm not so alone in being alone." And in the 80s was when we really started thinking about our feelings and talking about our feelings a lot more than in the past. And for a man to write about being lonely and realizing, hey, we're all lonely sometimes, was a big deal. Another song that I want to show us is Lenny Kravitz. And if y'all remember the Mockingjay, Hunger Games movies, he was the guy that designed the dress that caught fire and then he ended up getting killed for it. That's Lenny Kravitz. But in the early 90s, man, he was super cool. Nobody had ever seen anything like him. And he had a style that would probably seem pretty normal these days. But back then, for a man to dress the way he was and look so strong, but yet kind of not fit into the standard roles, was really powerful. So I'm going to show us these two videos, and then I'll let y'all get to work. But they're great. They're just great songs, great videos anyway. So it's a good excuse. All right. So the first one is Message in a Bottle, and then by The Police, and then Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? And in this one, he's really singing about, man, being yourself and living your life, but also, living a good life.